I was right about the bales. I keep saying that to myself like it's a prize. It doesn't feel like one. Edith followed my lead out of that golden field, and she hasn't stopped scanning the horizon since. Being right cost her something. I don't know the word for it yet. The guide's next page says the asphalt roads out here only go one place. Follow any of them long enough and the city takes you. So we walked. Half a day of dead grass going gray, and then the horizon grew teeth.
Houses. Cole, I've seen this before. The orange sky, the lawns. Tell me we didn't walk back into that.
It's not the suburbs. Look at the skyline behind them. Level 9 never had one of those. The guide calls it the city that never sleeps. 36 groups have discovered it, and it was never lost once. Class 2. Save. Low entity count. I read that line to her 3 times on the way in. She didn't believe it the first 2. First hour in the blocks. Every window Edith passes, she checks twice. Fair. Except the windows here don't look back. A third of these buildings aren't buildings at all. No doors that open, no rooms behind the glass. Just black mirrors on a concrete cliff. The guide says they're solid all the way through.
I don't like them. A window is supposed to have something behind it.
It's the most honest architecture we've met. It doesn't pretend there's anything inside. Here's why I trust this place, and I told her so. The pages I carry aren't rumors. They trace back to the general public database. The people who keep the records of every level anyone has ever walked. And those people keep an entire building in the city, staffed for the sole purpose of writing this level down. Nobody catalogs a place they're afraid of. They catalog home.
Read it to me again. The part about the entities.
They call it the level 11 effect. Hostile creatures come through the exits same as people do. And then they just calm down. Nobody knows why. It fails if you provoke them. So we don't provoke them. We claimed a flat off a low street. Real luck. Water from the tap lights that work, heat in the pipes. The whole city generates its own everything. Edith threw the bolt twice and then stood with her back against the door while I filled every bottle we owned. She unpacked the bag her way, which means everything gets a place and a reason. I let her. Order is how she breathes. Day 2. The cupboard we emptied last night is full again. I sat in front of it for an hour with the camera running to catch the trick. Nothing. The guide laughs at people like me. Supplies move through this city the way everything moves through this city. Only when nobody is watching. Not even the lens counts as nobody.
So we leave the cupboard shut, and it makes us breakfast. That's it. That's the rule.
That's the rule. First good rule this place has asked us to follow. There are people here. Real ones. 129,000 if you trust the census, and I trust the people who took it. The market runs through the heart of the capital. Homes are free here if you work. 2 months of grace if you don't. We traded a coil of good wire for bread and kept our heads down. Nobody looked twice. That's the thing about a city. Nobody looks twice. Day 3. The blue car across the street is a red car today, parked the other way. Roadworks appeared overnight on a road nobody works. The billboards changed what they were selling. Edith made a map of the block just to catch the city moving. The city waited until she slept.
You want to know what's wrong? That field had birdsong coal. It was warm, and it fed people, and it was a mouth. I trusted my own eyes, and they lied to me. So no, I don't trust the quiet. I keep waiting for this place to open its jaw.
I stopped and made her look at me. On level 8, I was frozen half dead in a stranger's snow, and a woman I had lied to about my own name patched me up, walked me 9 days down a road with monsters on both sides of it, and got me out the far end alive. I would have died without her. I told her that. And I told her the woman who did that didn't survive the ice by trusting the quiet. She survived by being careful and strong, and better at reading a level than I will ever be. The fear isn't a defect. It just needs a job.
Fine. Then the fear takes first watch. Cole, there's a bundle on the step. Cloth wrapping, tinned food, clean water. And a note. Nobody knocks in a place like this and leaves gifts. It's bait.
It's not bait. The guide has a whole page on them. They call themselves the Malt Martyrs. No leaders, no rules, no raisins. They haul supplies to strangers and leave notes and vanish. Charity with no face. It scared me too the first time I read it.
From a friend for the days ahead. That's all it says. Fine. I'm keeping the note.
Day 5, we walked the old quarter. Cobblestones and tram lines and shop fronts out of a century neither of us lived in. The guide's trick for finding people in this city is simple. The streets change when nobody watches, except where somebody stays. Find the block that refuses to change, and you've found neighbors. The old town has refused for 600 years. A faceling crossed the avenue 2 blocks down. Just crossed it. Didn't turn, didn't drift toward us, didn't do anything but walk. On level 9, I'd have already been running. Here I stood in the open and watched it go. Edith kept her hand on the knife the whole time. But she watched it go too.
You cook worse than the city does. The cupboard never burns the rice.
She laughed tonight. First time since Harmouth. We've stopped taking watch shifts because the shifts kept turning into both of us awake and talking anyway. I know what's missing from this entry. I know there's a weight on the bag strap I haven't spoken to in 5 days. I only notice when I film the bag. That should bother me more than it does. Day 6. I finally walked us the wrong way, and the city showed me its other tenant. Banners, clean uniforms, a supply line moving crates with practice. Base Beta. The major explorer group's second most important base in all the backrooms, sitting 11 blocks from our door. Their school is closer. Camp Amber. You can hear the lessons through the wall. Survival basics recited by people who arrived a week ago. Their crews strip the shops and factories, itemize it all, and ship it out to bases on levels I've bled on. It's good work. It's what I would do. That's the problem with this city. Everything that makes it safe for her makes it a net for me. And the city has its own weather underneath the calm. The exits. They're everywhere, they're invisible, and they only go one way. The locals barricade the worst streets with furniture and paint trails on the safe ones. The trails have names. The names belong to people who went to buy bread and stepped through a wall nobody knew about, into a level nobody will ever find. There's a memorial bolted to one of the barricades. Flowers, real ones, replaced by somebody who still comes back. The plaque says, "For my little strawberry." She was 8. She fell through her own floor. South of the market, there's a community behind a wall. One gate, guards who shoot anything that isn't human, no questions afterward. The guide calls them thieves. I watched Edith study that wall for a long minute. That's what fear builds when it stops running and settles down. I don't want to live inside a wall like that. I don't want her to either. Here's what kept me up instead. Information moves through this city faster than people do. The traders of New Times Square carry stories between levels the way they carry coin. The delivery service runs every parcel in the backrooms out of this one grid. A city like this doesn't forget anyone. It files them. And then today, on the walkway over the canal, I saw Jack. The set of the shoulders, the tilt of the head when he listens. My chest went through the floor before my eyes caught up. It wasn't him. A recruiter in the same colors, listening the way Jack listens. I stood there shaking anyway. My fear has started drawing his face on strangers. And a man whose fear draws faces has no business keeping secrets from the only person watching his back. So tonight I turned the camera on us and I told her the story. Not the headline. She's had the headline since the ice. The story. There's a base back up the levels called Gamma. They took me in half dead, and before they gave me a bed, they took everything else. Retina blood prints the lines on my hands. I'm in their machines, Edith. Not a description on a bulletin. Made to the millimeter. And 6.1. The one you heard on the radio at Harmouth. What the bulletin doesn't say is what led up to it. I was warm for the first time in months. I had a friend at the table. And I still worked out the duck wasn't with me and decided I'd left him alone in the dark. So I went back for the dark. 2 men were on the door doing their jobs, keeping people out of it. I put them both down to get past. Nobody made me. That's the part I needed you to hear from me, not from a radio. Jack is 6.12. He found me in that food court when I couldn't say a true sentence to a living soul, and he waited and he was kind, and I ran from him with the rest of it. He leads the search now. If a patrol reads me off a scanner, it won't be a stranger arresting me. It'll be my friend.
Stop. How close is the base? 11 blocks. And their school is closer, and their crews walk our market. Cole, I bought bread in front of them.
I watched it come back into her. The scanning, the counting, the sitting where she can see the door. Except it isn't the bales this time, and it isn't the level. It's pointed outward, all of it, on my behalf. I did that. Being right about one field did that.
Then we don't get to keep this. The flat, the cupboard, the rice. We don't get to keep any of it. Pack.
We loaded the pocket before dawn. The one we bled for on level 9, the one the market priced and didn't get. Water, food the cupboard made us, spare cloth, wire. Edith put the stranger's note in last, flat against the lid, like it was worth protecting.
Which way doesn't have paint? If the painted streets are where everyone walks, then we want the ones nobody trusted enough to mark.
She's right, and I hate it. The safe trails run past their patrols. The unmarked blocks run past nothing at all, except whatever nobody came back to paint. We took the masks out of the bag. The ones from the pocket with the note about a red city. Trust the cloth, not your eyes. They ride on the strap now. Ready. At the door, she turned the key out of habit, locking a free house in an endless city, and laughed at herself once, short. Then she moved the duck from the bag to the strap where he rides. I watched her do it. I didn't say anything. I don't know what it means that she remembered, and I didn't. We gave their base a wide berth and let the city grow up around us. The low streets became towers, and the towers became glass, and the glass is dead. No paint here. No trails, no memorials, no market noise. The city stops pretending to be lived in this deep. And down between the towers low where the streets sink, there's a light. Red. No source, no flicker, no edges. Everything in this city moves when you don't watch it. I've been watching that light for 10 minutes. It hasn't moved at all.
Red. Cole. The note said a red city.
It did. And the people who left us the masks knew we'd be standing here, sooner or later, looking down at it. Everyone in this city is filed somewhere. Time to go where the files don't.